going?
Now we're recording.
So today, guys, we're going to talk about God, the Bible, and we're going to look at Daniel chapter 10. So I'm going to read this to you, and here's what I want you to think about. What do you think stands out about Jesus when we read this, okay? All right. So
what do you think describes Jesus the most?
Yeah, what stands out about Jesus when we read this?
Okay.
All right. So Daniel 10 and verse 12 says, "Don't be afraid, Daniel," he said to me, "for from the first day that you purposed to understand and to humble yourself before your God, your prayers were heard. I have come because of your prayers. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia opposed me for 21 days. Then Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me after I had been left there with the kings of Persia. Now I have come to help you understand what will happen to your people in the last days, for the vision refers to those days." While he was saying these words to me, this is what Daniel says here, while he was saying these words to me, I turned my face to the ground and was speechless, meaning he couldn't talk. Suddenly, one with human likeness, he looked like a human, touched my lips. I opened my mouth and said to the one standing in front of me, "My Lord, because of the vision," what he saw, "anguish overwhelms me and I am powerless." You know what anguish means?
Nope. Not
Pain.
a clue.
Lots and lots of pain and
Hmm.
sadness.
Mm.
No, anguish overwhelms me and I am powerless. How can someone like me, your servant, speak with someone like you, my Lord? Now I have no strength, and there is no breath in me. Then the one with human likeness touched me again and strengthened me. He said, "Don't be afraid, you who are treasured by God. Peace to you, be very strong." As he spoke to me, I was strengthened and said, "Let my Lord speak, for you have strengthened me." So what do you think that says about Jesus when we read that?
That he's amazing and he can do anything that we can't do.
Okay, how did you hear that in what we read?
Because when that guy was speechless, he made him be able to talk.
You're right. Jesus did make him be able to talk.
Well, what I think is that you can always trust on God.
Okay, how did you see that in what we
I
read?
can't do this.
That's fine, you don't have to.
In the ending parts where God made Daniel brave.
You like that? Hey, Stephen, would you like if we tried to act it out so you could see what Daniel was going through? Would that help? All right. So let's see. Stephen, how about you be Daniel? So you stand up over here and you be Daniel. And who wants to be Jesus?
Me!
All right, Hadassah, since you raised your hand first. All right, now stand up. So Daniel is talking to Jesus, but Daniel's scared because Jesus is so amazing and so powerful. So Stephen, you got to pretend you're scared. Yeah, like that.
Good job.
And Hadassah, you have to pretend that you're Jesus and that you are taking care of, you're loving Daniel, but you're also like super strong and powerful.
Okay.
All right. So then what happens here? He says, "Don't be afraid, Daniel."
Don't be afraid, Daniel. Okay.
Right? And he says, and then he goes on to tell Daniel that when Daniel humbled himself before God and prayed, that God heard his prayer.
What?
When he humbled himself, humbling means that you submit yourself to God.
What does submit mean?
You help me out, dear.
Like you are letting someone else be the boss.
Oh.
You're letting them be in charge.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
You're not wanting to take charge.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So Stephen,
So Stephen,
Daniel humbled
yep. So
himself and
Daniel
prayed.
humbled himself and he prayed.
David, be careful.
Stephen, can you pretend that you're humbling yourself and praying, pretending that Jesus is your boss?
I just forgot.
All right. So if you're pretending that Jesus is your boss and you're humbling, you're probably going to be on your knees praying. So get on your knees and pray. Right?
Jesus.
There you go, like that. Yep.
Yeah.
So you were humbling yourself before God, and Jesus was coming, but he was opposed because the prince of Persia opposed him. Now, the prince of Persia refers to Satan. So you were trying to get to Daniel to tell him, but you were being hindered,
What does hindered mean?
stopped.
Ah.
So you're trying to come to Daniel, but you can't. And somebody comes to help you. His name's Michael. And so you go to Daniel because Michael came to help you, and he took over the battle with the prince of Persia. And then you're trying to tell Daniel what's going to happen at the end of the world.
So at the end of the world, it'll explode.
It'll explode. All right, we got it.
At the end of the world, it'll explode.
Now, Stephen, when Jesus starts to talk to Daniel, Daniel puts his face to the ground. Put your face to the ground, and he doesn't know what to say. And so Jesus reached down and touched his lips. So you got to reach down and touch Daniel's lips with your finger. There you go. He touched his lips. And then Daniel said, "My Lord, because of the vision," he says that he's anguished. So pain and feeling sad, he overwhelms him. And he says, "I have no strength. I'm powerless." So I have no strength.
I have no strength.
Because next to Jesus, you don't, right? Right, you think you're strong, but when you look at Jesus, you're not. So, and I have no breath, which means I have nothing left to say. So tell Jesus, I have nothing left to say.
I have nothing left to say.
And then Jesus says to Daniel, he says, "Don't be afraid." You strengthened him. You put your hand on his shoulder to give him some strength. And then you say, "Don't be afraid."
Don't be afraid.
Right, so Jesus says to Daniel, right, Hadessa, you say, "Don't be afraid." He says, "You who are treasured by God."
You who are treasured by God.
So what does it mean to be treasured by God? Go ahead. How about Eliana, since she's not acting?
Good idea.
Wait, what did you ask?
What does it mean to be treasured by God?
It means like you're like a treasure to God. Like,
Yeah.
You're
You're
one
like
of his really special things.
Yes, I like that. You're one of his really special things. So tell Daniel, you're one of God's really special things.
Daniel, you're one of God's really special things.
And so then he says, "Peace." He tells Daniel to be at peace. He says, "Peace to you."
Peace to you.
And then he says, "Be very strong."
Be very strong.
Because remember, Daniel felt weak.
Oh, yeah.
So he's telling Daniel, "Be very strong."
Be very strong, Daniel.
And so Daniel gets strength. God gives him strength. And so Daniel says to Jesus, he says, "Jesus, let my Lord speak," which means, "Jesus, speak to me,
Jesus, speak to me.
because you've given me strength." Because you've given me strength. Rah. Right? So now you're ready to listen. And so Jesus says, "Do you know why I've come to you?" He says, "I must return at once," which means right away, "to fight against the prince of Persia." Who is the prince of Persia?
Satan.
Satan, right?
Who is the prince of Persia?
Right? "And when I leave, the prince of Greece will come." It says no one has, right. So anyway, we kind of left off reading there. So now that you've thought through this and acted it out, what do you think that Jesus was doing for Daniel?
He was giving Daniel strength, and he was trying to make Daniel be happy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're right. David, what do you think?
I don't know.
Oh, that's a good answer. It's okay not to know. Sometimes Daddy doesn't know.
Yeah.
Eliana, what do you think?
Wait, what did you ask?
Well, what did Jesus do for Daniel?
He he made Daniel try to be like more strong and more like really confident, and made him be able to speak so that he would be able to go around the earth.
So
And you wouldn't have to be a sad woman. I mean, man.
okay, sure. I can see that. Yeah. Mommy, what do you think?
David, you're about to.
Okay, yeah, it's okay. David's fine.
He was helping Daniel
Yes.
to.
Thank you. Don't you get hurt, sweetheart?
Oh yeah.
He was helping Daniel to have peace,
Mm.
to not be scared, so that he could listen to what Jesus wanted to tell him.
Mm.
Because Daniel wasn't ready to listen. He was too scared to hear what Jesus was going to tell him.
So being at peace is important to knowing what Jesus wants to say. Yeah, I would agree with that. And you know where the peace comes from? Where is it? Who gives the peace in the story?
Prince of Peace.
Jesus, right? The Prince
Jesus,
of Peace gives
the
peace.
God.
So it's incredible. Jesus gives us peace so that we can listen to him.
He gives us peace so that we can see what peace is.
I know, isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
And then we're ready to listen.
And it know what peace
you're
means.
not scared.
That's right.
Right.
Good job.
Means you're not scared. That's good.
All right, guys. Well, this was fun today. Thank you all.
Can we eat popcorn now?
Yeah, you can keep eating popcorn.
All right, now we can watch the